What's up, everybody? It's your girl Tay, and I'm back. I know I apologize. I kept you guys waiting for way too long for this part 3. My bad on that. I had a couple of things that were going on in life, so I wasn't able to come back on as quickly as possible to make this tutorial. So I'm here now, before the year is out, actually, to kind of come through and give you a quick glimpse of what I used, how I used it, what worked great, what didn't work so well, and all that good stuff for those of you who are looking to attempt and master the man weave. So stay tuned. I'll be back in a second and explain what all this stuff is. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to briefly go through all of the supplies that I use that came in handy for when I try to do my man weave. And then I'll come back and just briefly explain like what I use each of those items for. So first and foremost, we have the scalp protector. Scalp protector, Dabbling waterproof adhesive, got some lace front strips, rubbing alcohol, gloves, this pencil, what's it called? Eyeliner, a white one, super hair bond glue, C22 solvent, got my shears, my thinners, and some clips. Last but not least, the infamous man unit. So this is everything, and let me come back and tell you kind of how I use everything and walk you through the steps that I did to attempt this. I'm not gonna say make it possible, but to attempt this mainly. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this really quickly. There's another video that I have that is much longer. It's about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. That kind of really goes through everything. I wanted this one to be much shorter because some people have short attention spans, and I get it, I understand it. So I wanted to kind of zip through this one really quickly, so that you could see what I use and how I use it without having to sit through the long, drawn-out version of this. Okay, so before anything, you're going to make sure you have a consultation with your client to determine what he or she wants before you actually sit down for the install. That will help save a lot of time in the process. The process itself is going to take some time, so make sure you find out what they want, what they're looking for, the desired cut and the goal, the outlooks of all of this, the end result beforehand, so that you don't waste time when you go to install it. So once your client comes, you already know what your plan is ahead of time, so you're not wasting time. So what I did was, my client came in, we already had everything understood and figured out. So he came in and I got right to it with, brushing his hair as usual. You're going to do your basic barbering steps. So if you don't know that, let me know if you want me to do another video with the basic barbering steps. But you're going to do your basic barbering steps first, the draping, all of that stuff that you need to do ahead of time. You want to do that. What I'm talking about is in addition to your basic core fundamentals of barbering. So what I started out with first was the outliner. I went around and outlined his head according to how I wanted this man weave to fit. So I used the white outliner to go around the perimeter of his head, and I got this from Amazon. It has two sides actually. This is the one side. This other side I have no idea what that's for. Maybe check out some makeup tutorials to figure out what that is for. I didn't use that other side of it. I don't even know where that comes out like that. I just used the white side. So use the white side to draw that line around the perimeter of his head to kind of get your measurements for where you want to place your man unit. After you did your outline, you gotta imagine this as if this is the client's head and this is not already on here. I actually did the outline of the perimeter of his head, as well as again, this is the actual client, if you can imagine. And then I measured around the center of his head as to where I wanted to cut out his hair to make it bald, in order for the man weave to adhere to his scalp. So I also use this white pencil to carve out that circle that you see in the picture right there. To carve out the circle, I use this white line to help guide me and to trace where I needed to cut when the time came to cut his hair down in this section. Okay, so after the client is you know, outlined and all marked up, you're going to take your clippers, bam, took the clippers, and you know, I cut the middle, went all the way around the perimeter of his head and cut the whole middle out. So all of this was bald. Disclaimer ahead of time, make sure you talk to your client and find out if it's cool for him or her to go bald if this man weave doesn't work. That happened to me and my client. Fortunately, he rocks a baldy. He looks good in a baldy, so he didn't mind when we saw the end result of the man unit. He didn't mind me cutting the rest of his hair because, you know, when you saw the picture, he had a big circle right here with his hair remaining down around the sides and the back. So if you have a client that is not okay with going bald, you're going to have a big situation if you cut all this middle out and then they're left with this George Jefferson look around the perimeter. Don't do that. So take the clippers, I cut all the middle out to have this center of his head down to the crown clear of hair, so that I could adhere the man unit onto his actual scalp. Okay, so once my client's head was clear, I took the rubbing alcohol, and I think I originally used a cotton ball, which wasn't good because the cotton residue kind of stuck to his hair since the little follicles were still sticking up. So you can use like a neck strip, or if you have a towel or something, put the rubbing alcohol on that to kind of cleanse his scalp and get all the debris and leftover hair follicles off of his scalp, so that you have a clean slate when you go to glue the man weave onto his scalp. Alright, so that's checked off. After I use the rubbing alcohol, I use the scalp protector. This is by Walker Tape. It's found on Amazon. This is basically, I don't know, it says it helps to improve adhesion for hot and humid weather, oily skin, sports, swimming, prevents irritation from tape and adhesive. So thought it was cool. If you look at it, it looks like one of those things that the kids use in school. I don't know if it's like a glue stick or not, but it like has it's like that old, remember back in the day when you had that roll-on deodorant? I'm showing my age right now, but it was like that ball of deodorant and you had to like wait till you got to the moist side to get it. This is kind of how it is. So you have to press down on this for a minute in order for it to, I don't know if you can see the shininess of it, but it just came out. You got to press down on that for a minute in order for it to come out. So I took this scalp protector and basically like rubbed it all on the exposed area of his head where the adhesive was going to go on and be applied. Okay, so after I did the scalp protector, let that dry for a few minutes, then we're going to get right into the adhesive for the actual man weave. This is called Davelin. Again, this is on Amazon.com. It's waterproof adhesive. I like it because it's clear, it goes on clear, dries clear, and it's not like this super hair bond glue. I didn't use this. This is black, this is clear. I just thought that this would be a better fit because it was clear. So what I did was I took this clear Davelin and I actually applied it to the perimeter of the man weave. If you look, it kind of looks like nail polish with the brush at the end. It does get stringy, so beware. You got to make sure you get those strings so they don't interfere with your client or get in their eyes or anything like that. And you're going to basically like glue around, I glued around the perimeter of this man weave. If you see, this is the man weave flipped inside out. So this is the outside of the man weave with the hair, and this is it flipped over inside out with the, I don't know what this is, the netting, I guess. And you can see it already has automatically a perimeter around it. So I took the adhesive and I just glued the whole perimeter of this. Like, I mean, I filled it with glue all around the perimeter of the man unit. I did not put the adhesive in the middle because I saw another person on YouTube, another guy that gets a man weave. He said that he preferred not to have it in the middle because he likes to be able to scratch his head and to have some air and I guess more mobility without having the adhesive in the middle. So I opted not to put it in the middle, and I think that's where I went wrong. So note to self, you may want to try both ways to see which way works best for you. But as you can see, there's no adhesive in the middle of this man unit that I tried. So once you apply the adhesive, you got to let that dry for like a minute or two, I guess, in order for it to get sticky. And then once it's ready, we're going to go to the next step, and that will be applying the man unit onto his head. Okay, so next step I did was to apply the actual man unit to my client's head. I've seen videos where they've gone from the back, they've applied the man unit from the back to the front, or they've taken it and put it on from the front to the back. If I remember correctly, because it's been a little bit, I think I went from the back to the front. I think I applied it this way, you know, like from the back, and then rolled it on to the front of his head, like this. Now again, I don't even know if that's the front or the back of this, but just know, keep in mind, this is my first time doing this. I've never done it before. I think that's on backwards, but to say that I was doing it the right way, I can't say that because I don't know the proper steps to this. I was just trying it out. So you know, maybe do your own research and see which way you like better, if you want to roll it from the front, from the back to the front, or if you want to apply it from the front to the back. But I think I did mine from the back to the front. Some other things I want to mention really quickly about the man unit itself. Make sure you know which way is the front and which way is the back. It's not clearly, it doesn't clearly say which way the front of it is. I just assumed because of this little peak right here that this was the front of it and that this was the back, and it had like some it has some writing down here, so I assumed that was like the back of it. But you may want to do the research yourself and figure out, make sure you study your man weave and know about it, like get to know it before before you actually go to apply it on your client. They're really expensive, so you don't want to waste your money by doing something the wrong way, like I may have done. I still don't know if I did this right or not. I don't know if this is the front or the back. I have no idea. So do your research ahead of time. And then just make sure you know like how it needs to fit on your client's head, because that could be an issue too. So once you've done all that and it's on there, you're gonna feel the secureness of it, you know, pretty much immediately. My client felt that the adhesive was working, and it was tight around the perimeter. Again, we opted not to put any glue in the middle, so that caused some issues later on, and I'll go through that in a minute. If you have any issues with the adhesive actually sticking, then you could use your backup, which is the lace front tape. I didn't have to use that. The super bond glue, if you need that, you can use that. I didn't use that either. I didn't mention the gloves, but you should have had this on ahead of time. It's just one of the safety precaution procedures with the barbering in general. So that comes with the fundamentals of it, which is why I skipped it. So once you have it on your client's head, there was much more hair than this, as you can see from the previous video. You're going to need to section the hair off and clip it, which is why I use the butterfly clips to help clamp some of that extra hair, as well as these clips that help to kind of get closer to the scalp. You want to use that to help you as you're performing your actual cut of the man unit. The remaining supplies, with the exception of the C22 solvent, which I'll go over in a second, the rest of the supplies, your shears and your thinning shears, they'll come in handy. You know, that's just more about the, that's more with the hairstyling portion of this, which I'm not going to get in. You know, if you already do hair, if you're a barber, your hairstylist, you know, you use your own skills to rock the man unit however you want to do it. You know, it's going to involve a lot of fading, a lot of blending, a lot of shaping, obviously. But that's when your own barbering or hairstylist skills come into play with that. So on to the C22 solvent. So last but not least is the C22 solvent. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know what this stuff was. I just know that I needed it because they talked about it. But honestly, I had no idea what it did. So, basically, this is what dissolves the glue off of your client and off of the man unit. I know that because we had to use it when we realized that this unit was not on, you know, properly. So what you do is you spray the solvent, and it loosens up, I guess it dissolves the adhesive that you put on to your client in the man unit. So that's it. I mean, it's not a lot of supplies, it's not a lot of steps necessarily to this. I'm sure once you get like the basics down in terms of like installing it or putting it on, everything else probably just falls in place. I'm saying probably because it didn't work like that for me. The biggest issue I think myself and my client had was that I did not measure my client's head to fit this unit. So make sure you measure your client's head and make sure you get the proper unit. I got like a shelf unit. It was basically, you know, like a one size fits all, or maybe not, I don't know. But it was a basic, already in stock unit. I was really excited, so I ordered it. It got here in like 3 days, all to find out that it just wasn't the right fit for my client's head. Somebody, maybe who had like a smaller head, maybe it would have been better, but it just didn't fit his head properly. The issue I had with this unit on my client's head was that, and it's maybe because we didn't glue the center of it, but it was just really wavy up in this area. I don't know if you can tell right here, but it's kind of fluid, like it moves. So as I was like cutting his hair, I'll give you an example. As I was like, you know, like I'm like cutting the unit, and it feels like the unit is like rippling up as I'm cutting his hair. So it was just like extra wavy, and it shouldn't have felt like that. It felt like carpet that's not tight on the floor, so it needed to be a tighter fit, more snug to his head, so that it could lay down flat, so it wasn't stretched out the way that it needed to be because it was too small. So that's it. I wish you guys the best of luck, whoever out there is bold enough and courageous enough to try it. Don't look at it like you're gonna be defeated, because you're not. It really was not hard, even though I didn't do it 100% right. I think that as I do it more and more, I'll get better at it. So I would just encourage you to stick with it as well. The biggest snag in the whole thing is the amount of money that this unit costs. I think this one, I don't remember now because it's been some time, but I think it was a little over $100, and I just personally don't have that sort of money to to put into this right now, right at this time. Back when I was doing it, I did have the extra money to do it, but right now I don't have the extra money when it's the holiday season. So I'm gonna have to kind of put it on hold until I get my funds back up to try it again. But guess what? Your girl gonna try it again, because it's not going to defeat me, and I just feel like the more you try something, the better you'll get at it. So let's help each other out. Send me some tips. If anybody else tries it and they're successful, or they learn something different about it, let me know. If I try it again, or when I try it again, I'll come back on and do the same thing, and kind of tell you what I did differently, and hopefully it'll work better. But in the meantime, I'm just working on some other things. So if anybody has any questions, or wants the link to the vendor, just hit me up and I'll give it to you. And like I said, good luck. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. All right, it's your girl Tay. I'm out.